Have you ever found yourself standing at the edge of something vast and unknown, feeling utterly insignificant? Have you ever watched the current of life rush past, carrying everyone else forward while you remained stranded, isolated on the shore? There are moments when the world seems to shrink around you, trapping you in a silent, suffocating struggle. It is a profound kind of loneliness to feel adrift in a world full of connections. It is a heavy burden to carry the weight of unmet expectations, both your own and those you perceive from others. This is a feeling that resonates deep within many hearts, a quiet ache for direction, for purpose, for a sense of belonging in the grand tapestry of existence. We all yearn for an anchor, something steadfast to hold us firm when the storms rage. We seek a compass to guide us through the fog, a light to pierce the encroaching darkness. This search for meaning, for a foundation that cannot be shaken, is a universal journey. It is a story woven into the fabric of humanity, a tale of struggle, resilience, and the enduring power of hope. This is a story about David, a young man navigating the complex currents of his late 20s. He was a seeker, though he didn't always realize what he was looking for. Like many, David found himself at a crossroads where the paths diverged and the future blurred into an indistinct haze. His journey was marked by a quiet desperation, a growing sense that he was falling behind. David had always prided himself on his self-reliance, his ability to carve out his own destiny. Yet, recent months had chipped away at that foundation, leaving him vulnerable and exposed. Life, in its unpredictable way, had thrown a series of challenges that seemed designed to test his very spirit, to push him to his absolute limits. The first blow came swiftly, a stark and unexpected job loss. The corporate ladder he had diligently climbed suddenly dissolved beneath his feet, plunging him into uncertainty. The financial strain quickly mounted, a suffocating weight that pressed down on every aspect of his life. Debt began to accumulate, a silent, insidious enemy that gnawed at his peace of mind. With the loss of his stable income, David's confidence, once a steady flame, flickered and threatened to extinguish entirely. Each rejection email felt like a personal indictment, a tangible confirmation of his perceived failings. He began to question his worth, his abilities, his very place in the world. The echoes of his past accomplishments seemed distant, overshadowed by the stark reality of his present struggles. Social media became a cruel mirror, reflecting back a distorted image of success and happiness that felt utterly unattainable. He scrolled through endless feeds of perfect lives, curated triumphs, and effortlessly beautiful moments. Each post amplified his own sense of inadequacy, deepening the chasm between his reality and the manufactured perfection he witnessed online. The comparison was relentless, a constant reminder of what he lacked. The pressure extended beyond his financial and professional life, seeping into his personal relationships. The weight of his struggles became too heavy for his romantic partnership to bear. Conversations grew strained, misunderstandings festered, and eventually, the love they shared fractured under the immense stress. The relationship, once a source of comfort and joy, became another casualty of his unraveling world. He found himself utterly alone, grappling with a profound sense of loss. David felt trapped, an observer in his own life, watching as everyone around him moved forward. Friends announced promotions, celebrated engagements, and embarked on new adventures. He, meanwhile, remained static, a prisoner in a life that felt increasingly stagnant and unfulfilling. The future, once a canvas of possibilities, now appeared bleak and uninviting, shrouded in a persistent fog of doubt. Then came the final, devastating blow. The crisp, official envelope slipped under his door, sealed his immediate fate. An eviction notice. His sanctuary, the one place he still felt a modicum of control, was now threatened. It was the definitive proof that he had run out of options, that his carefully constructed world was crumbling around him. He stared at the notice, the words blurring, his breath catching in his throat. This was the end of the road. The world outside fell away, replaced by the deafening silence of his own despair. David felt a profound, overwhelming sense of defeat wash over him. He sank to his knees, the thin carpet offering little comfort against the hard truth of his situation. The tears, held back for so long, finally broke free, a torrent of raw emotion that shook his entire being. He cried until his body ached, until there was nothing left but a hollow, empty ache. In that moment of absolute brokenness, A memory surfaced, soft yet profound. He saw his grandmother, her face lined with a lifetime of wisdom, her eyes sparkling with an unshakable faith. Her voice, gentle and reassuring, echoed in his mind, speaking words she had shared so many times before. My dear, when you feel like you have nothing left, remember this: you still have God. The simplicity of her conviction, her unwavering belief, had always been a source of quiet strength. He recalled her sitting by her bedside, her worn Bible open to a familiar passage. "For I know the plans I have for you," she would recite, "declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 29, verse 11. Those words, once just a comforting lullaby, now felt like a lifeline, a whisper of hope in the suffocating darkness. With a desperate, guttural cry, David poured out his heart. It was not a polished prayer, but a raw, unfiltered plea. He spoke of his fear, his anger, his overwhelming sense of failure. He admitted his weakness, his confusion, his absolute exhaustion. He asked for guidance, for strength, for even the smallest glimmer of hope to pull him from the abyss. He simply asked to not be alone. As the last of his tears fell, something shifted within him. It was not a sudden burst of joy or an immediate solution to his problems. It was far more subtle. A quiet, almost imperceptible change. A tiny spark of peace. A fragile realization that perhaps, just perhaps, he wasn't entirely alone after all. In the depths of his despair, a new, tender shoot of possibility began to emerge. The days that followed were not magically transformed, but David was. The despair still lingered, a shadow at the edges of his vision, but it no longer consumed him entirely. He started small, taking tentative steps towards the light. Each morning, he found himself kneeling, not in surrender to his despair, but in quiet conversation. He prayed, not just for answers, but for the strength to endure, for the wisdom to see a path forward. He picked up his grandmother's old, leather-bound Bible, its pages softened by years of loving use. He read, not always understanding every word, but finding solace in the ancient verses. They offered comfort, a sense of timeless wisdom that transcended his immediate struggles. These moments of quiet reflection became anchors in his turbulent days, grounding him, reminding him of a presence larger than himself. With a renewed sense of purpose, born from that fragile spark of faith, he began applying for jobs again. The rejections still stung, but they no longer shattered him. Each application was an act of faith, a belief that doors would eventually open. He focused on refining his resume, practicing his interview skills, and preparing for the opportunities he believed would come. He was proactive, driven not by desperation, but by a quiet resolve. An internal transformation began to unfold, subtle yet profound. David consciously shifted his focus from what he lacked to what he still possessed. He started practicing gratitude, finding moments of quiet joy in the simplest things. The warmth of the sun on his face, the comfort of a warm meal, the unexpected kindness of a stranger. The world, once a hostile, unforgiving place, began to reveal hidden pockets of beauty and grace. He realized that true change didn't start with external circumstances, but with an internal shift. His perspective was paramount. When he changed how he viewed his situation began to change. He began to see every challenge as an opportunity for growth, every setback as a lesson learned. This profound realization that his inner world dictated his outer experience was liberating. He learned to trust, not blindly, but with a growing conviction that there was a plan, a purpose unfolding beyond his immediate sight. He learned to believe, to hold on to a hope that transcended his current reality. And most importantly, he learned to have faith, an unwavering conviction that even in the darkest valleys, he was never truly abandoned. This was not an easy path, but it was a path paved with profound meaning. David's journey did not conclude with a sudden, dramatic turnaround. The eviction notice was still a stark reality, and the job search was still ongoing, but something fundamental had shifted within him. He found a new sense of peace, a quiet calm that transcended the chaos of his circumstances. The relentless storm outside continued, but he had found an inner harbor, a place of refuge and resilience. He gained clarity, a sharper understanding of his true purpose and values. The superficial desires that once drove him faded, replaced by a deeper yearning for authenticity and contribution. With this clarity came a newfound direction, a sense of purpose that propelled him forward, one deliberate step at a time. His confidence, once shattered, began to mend, rebuilt not on external validation, but on the solid foundation of his renewed faith. The struggles did not miraculously vanish overnight. There were still difficult days, moments of doubt and weariness. But David now possessed the tools to navigate them, the inner strength to weather the storms. He understood that faith was not about the absence of problems, but about the presence of peace amidst them. It was about changing his perspective, recognizing that his greatest victory was not in escaping the storm, but in finding his anchor within it. His life was still a work in progress, as all lives are, but he was no longer adrift. He had found his unseen anchor, a steadfast hope that held him firm. He had discovered that even when everything else crumbles, when the world seems to conspire against you, the enduring power of faith can lift you, guide you, and ultimately set you free. His story is a testament to the transformative journey from despair to purpose, from brokenness to profound lasting hope.